Hello, welcome to your news at noon on Kaieteur Radio. Kevin Smith here. These are the top stories we're tracking. Exxon could wipe out Stabroek Block's proven reserves by 2036. Suriname prepared for oil 6 years before first find in offshore basin. Guyana still struggles 6 years later. BK paid $20 million for $5 billion Kingston Wharf. AG files court action against BK, Jordan, Heath London, Nissel to repossess property. Guyana must intensify international campaign for support in Venezuela controversy. And 4 months after commitment, nation still awaits special oil and gas press conference promised by Harman. Do stay tuned.
This morning, I woke up a millionaire. A digital millionaire. Money here, money there, money everywhere. I'm a digital millionaire. It's our 14th anniversary, and for the next 14 days, we're gonna make one lucky customer a digital millionaire every day. To enter the draw, just purchase any digital Prime bundle or top up with $1,400 or more for a chance to be a millionaire. Plus, every day, 100 lucky customers will receive $1,400 free credit. Buy a Prime bundle or top up now to enter. Digicel, better together.
Weak systems of governance and the absence of the rule of law both combine to form the perfect stage for corruption to flourish. As part of our anti-corruption fight at Kaieteur Radio, we invite you to join us every Tuesday evening from 7:30 p.m. as we embark on the most needed quest to remove the tentacles of corruption from our systems. See you then for our latest program called Governance, Corruption and Justice.
And now for the news in detail. Many countries have had their time with oil and found decades after first oil that there was a lot they could have done better to secure value for their people. In Guyana, 6 years after the first commercial oil discovery, the country has failed to place basic regulatory mechanisms and legislative necessities in place to manage this sector. Guyana's preparation for oil has been slothful, and it is very likely ExxonMobil will wipe out the proven reserves of the Stabroek Block in less than 2 decades. Using a simple projection of production numbers based on public statements by ExxonMobil and its partners, we can now show that ExxonMobil could wipe out the proven reserves by 2036. And now let's tell you, Suriname began preparing its people for the challenges that come with an oil and gas sector. This was 6 years before it had even struck oil in its offshore basin. And by developing and strengthening its capacity ahead of time, Suriname was not only able to capitalize from the looming revenues, but take full control of its lucrative sector, unlike Guyana. This is according to CEO and Managing Director of Suriname's Staatsolie, Rudolf Elias. Regarding how Suriname was able to get ready for the considerable resource discovered in 2020, Elias revealed a 3-part strategic plan, which first came with preparing Suriname's national oil company, Staatsolie. And now let's tell you, Attorney General Anil Nandlal has initiated legal proceedings against Brian Tiwari of BK Marine Inc. on behalf of the state to claim the prime waterfront property which he paid $20 million for, though the property is worth $5 billion. That property is situated at Mudlots 1 and 2, Lot F of Mudlots 3, and Lots A and B and D, North Commingsburg, was offered for sale to BK by then Nissel CEO Horace James for $202,602,759. However, BK had only paid $20.2 million, a mere 10% of the purchase price when it was vested to him by the then Minister of Finance Winston Jordan on March 28, 2020. During that time, the country was embroiled in a heated election scandal. And moving on, a former Speaker of the National Assembly and ANAG leader Ralph Ramkaran has posited that Guyana must work hard to gain wider support in the international community so it can secure its victory in the border controversy with Venezuela. He said that this will require an expansion of Guyana's border department. Ramkaran's recommendation came with much urgency as just days earlier, a Venezuelan Navy vessel had intercepted 2 Guyanese fishing vessels. The vessels were in Guyana's territory, but Venezuela has lately reinvigorated its claim on the Essequibo, which it calls Guyana Essequiba. And moving on, it has been approximately 4 months since opposition leader Joseph Harmon committed to hosting an oil and gas press conference to relay information on the suspicious award of the Kaieteur and Kanji oil blocks, among other pressing sector-related issues. Last Saturday, we requested an update from the opposition leader through his press officer, Imran Khan, regarding a definitive date when the press conference would be held. We were told that there was no updates as yet. It was back on October 2nd that Harmon told reporters that he would host a press conference specifically dedicated to answer questions related to the sector. It is now 12 hours 8 coming up after the break. Cigarette buyer killed after bullet missed intended target. Local fishermen complain of catching hell in Guyana's waters, and U.S. analyst says without independent oversight, Guyana Oil Fund more susceptible to mismanagement. Do stay tuned.
A lot has happened since oil was discovered in 2015. The petroleum industry is an ever-changing web of oil, gas, politics, and money. It gets complicated sometimes, but we can bring you all the latest developments and include you in the discussions here on Kaieteur Radio. So tune in to 99.1 or 99.5 FM every Tuesday night at 20 hours for Petroleum 101. With me, your host, Kamal King. Kaieteur Radio, the radio with a difference.
Welcome back. Let us continue with the news. Even though the PPPC government announced last month that the fishing industry managed to rake in over $16 billion in excess revenue, extensive interviews we conducted across the country seems to suggest that our fishermen have been catching hell. In fact, we have been receiving numerous reports of a rapid depletion of the fish stock in Guyana's waters. However, over the past 12 months, the depletion intensified and fishermen saw their catch decrease, some say by more than 50%. And moving on, a cigarette buyer known as Alligator dropped dead on Saturday in front of a shop in Alboystown after a bullet missed its intended target. Cops have since identified the man as 54-year-old Alden Cush. Residents of the area said that while he is from Alboystown, he has no fixed place of abode. Cush was shot dead close to 17 hours on Cooper Street between James Street and Independence Boulevard. Investigators reported that Cush had reportedly gone to a small shop located in front of a house to purchase some cigarettes. Police are continuing their hunt for the shooter. In other news, senior analyst at America's Market Intelligence, Arthur Deakin, has posited that if a Guyana's Natural Resource Fund goes without independent oversight, then that oil fund will be more susceptible to mismanagement and political cronyism. Deakin wrote these and other critical points in his January 2020 piece. In his commentary, Deakin recalled that the governing law for the NRF, which currently holds $185 million in oil proceeds, was passed in early 2019 by the previous APNU-AFC administration. By using a US dollar-based New York Federal Reserve account, the analyst noted that the NRF protects the oil revenues against inflationary and nominal exchange rate pressures, which are caused by fluctuations in the domestic economy. He added too that it sets a limit on the annual amount transferred from the fund to the government's budget. It is now 12 hours 13, time for your COVID-19 update. According to Worldometer, the number of worldwide coronavirus cases has reached 106.7 million, and that's at 2.3 million, and recovery cases at 78.4 million. The Ministry of Health yesterday reported 43 new infections from COVID-19. The COVID-19 case toll increased to 7,982, with 5 patients in the COVID-19 ICU, 780 in home isolation, 51 in institutional isolation, and 14 in institutional quarantine. Additionally, a total of 6,966 persons have recovered from the virus, with 65 new recoveries recorded yesterday. Meanwhile, the COVID-19 death toll remains at 180. And coming from CNN, U.S. states aim to help vulnerable communities as vaccine distribution ramps up. The nation averaged 1.3 million new shots a day over the past week. Officials are pleading with people to avoid Super Bowl parties on Sunday to cut chances of the virus spread. AstraZeneca says its COVID-19 vaccine shows limited protection against the variant first identified in South Africa, and a new version of its vaccine to tackle this will be available in autumn. And that brings us to the end of today's News at Noon. I am Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's Newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. Call us on 225-8465 or 226-8210 today.
With the time moving on to 12 hours 15, coming up next is a short and informative message from the publisher of Kaieteur News, Mr. Glenn Lau.
A message to all the bright minds of Guyana from Glenn Lal. 26 years now I have been in the newspaper business, and I have been exposing the ills based on facts in which our leaders in the PPP, PNC and the AFC have never denied or contested. I am prepared to continue this struggle on behalf of you and all Guyanese. This country at this point in time needs strong and smart leadership, which I am not seeing presently. This is a special message to all our MPs, media, judges, magistrates, lawyers, doctors, professionals, community leaders, and all the bright minds of this beautiful country. Guys, we have tremendous wealth in this land, and all of you know this. What are you getting as the owners of this massive wealth, I ask? Mr. Granger had the integrity to reveal the one-sided, lopsided oil contracts. Have any one of you ever took the time to read and analyze its content as to what our leaders give away? If you have done that, then what positive contributions you have made to this conversation, I ask again. We have become the laughing stock of the industrial world. Every foreigner wants a piece of our free resources. Our leaders, most of them, is ready to bow down blindly or corruptly to service the needs of these multinationals. Our bauxite, gold, diamonds, timber, manganese, now our oil is disappearing into other countries' bank books and bank accounts, leaving the crumbs for you and me and the rest of our brothers and sisters of this country. Are you guys sleeping with your eyes open? I ask again. I know some of you may not understand business, so let me enlighten you with a simple example. Your parents have a huge agricultural estate with a huge farm, with edos, plantains, cassava, pine, mangoes, coconuts, etc. Would you sit back quietly and allow your parents to give away all that and leave little or nothing for you? Guys, this is exactly what is playing out in our oil and in all the other resources we have in this beautiful country. I love you all. Have a great day. And thanks for listening. And may God bless us all.
This is GHK Lal inviting you to join me weekdays from Monday to Friday on the National Outlook for commentary on a range of issues. Immediately after the 12 noon and 7 p.m. newscasts on Kaieteur Radio at 99.1 FM and 99.5 FM. Looking forward to you sharing in the conversation.
Yes, that was a short commentary coming from Dr. Glenn Lal of the Kaieteur News. Coming up next is the National Outlook with GHK Lal.
Welcome to the Monday, February 8th